Let's go and investigate solving logarithmic equations. In this video, I want to go over a easy, a medium, as well as a hard example to kind of give you a full overview and understanding for solving logarithmic equations. Now, the first example or the easy example is typically something that your teacher, like myself, would go over to start class to give you kind of an understanding of how we're going to approach solving logarithmic equations. So in this example, I have something very basic, 2 equals log of x. Now, it is important to remember when we just have a logarithm with no base, it is implied that that is going to be a base 10. Now, without doing any solving techniques, if we understand our definition of logarithms, we could probably actually figure out the value of x. But let's be frank, most students struggle with the definition of logarithms, and they might actually resort to rewriting it in exponential form, which is perfectly fine in this example. It's an easy way to kind of understand, how to solve for the value of x. But I really want to focus on you understanding or getting used to exponentiating both sides. That is going to be the properties of equality, right? That we use for solving all different types of equations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exponentiate both sides. Now, basically what this is doing is taking both sides of the equation raised with the base 10. So really what it's looking like is 10 to the second power is equal to 10 raised to the log base 10 of x. Now, why would I want to do that? The reason I want to do that is that creates here this rule of logarithm that I can use to undo the logarithm. Because remember, when we're trying to solve for x, we're trying to isolate it, right? And right now this x is inside of the logarithm. So I need to undo this log. So I can undo that by using the rules of logarithms. And if you forgot the rule of logarithm, here we go. A raised to log base a of b is simply just going to equal to a b. So now you can see here on this right side of the equation, that is now just going to equal to x. And over here, I have a pretty simple math to do. 10 squared is simply just going to be 100. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are good to go. So let's go and look into another equation that is going to be a little bit more difficult. It's going to require some math for us to be able to use. It's some more rules of logarithms to apply. And it's just going to be a little bit more fun. I guess depends on your definition of fun, right? So in this example here, I have 2 logarithms. They both have now the base 5. And I have an argument with x in both of them. Now, whenever I see 2 different logarithms separated by addition or subtraction, I want to think about those rules of logarithms, the rules of logarithms when we have multiple logarithms. And in this example, we'd solve this as the product rule. I can rewrite 2 logarithms that are separated by addition as the product of their arguments. I'll put parentheses around here. We don't really need to, but I want you to see that x is the argument of this example and 4x minus 1 is the argument in this example. So I can rewrite this as log base 5 of x times a 4x minus 1 is equal to 1. Now again, here, these are both in the same argument, so I can go ahead and simplify that. I'm going to apply my distributive property, so that's log base 5. Let's see, this is 4x squared minus x is equal to 1. All right, now again, I'm just going to put the parentheses on there just so you can recognize here that they are in the argument. Now again, to get rid of this logarithm, right, I have to solve for x. It's inside a logarithm, so I have to undo the logarithm. To do that, I'm going to exponentiate. Now over here, the logarithm had a base 10, so I exponentiated it with a base 10 as my exponent. Over here, I'm going to exponentiate it with a base 5, because again, using the rules of the rules of logarithms, that's going to undo that logarithm here. And now I'm just going to be left with a 4x squared minus x is equal to a 5 to the first power. Now 5 to the first power is simply just going to be 5, but there's something important that I recognize here. I now have a quadratic. And ladies and gentlemen, when we have a quadratic, if we're going to use the quadratic formula, completing the square or or factoring, we have to make sure we set it equal to 0. That means get all the values over to the same side. So I'm simply just going to subtract 5 on both sides here, and I get a 4x squared minus x minus 5 is equal to 0. Now, before I immediately go into quadratic formula, I want to see, hey, is this factorable, right? Can I factor this out? And to do that, I'm just going to play around with some numbers in my head. So let's just try 4x and x and see if we can identify some numbers that are going to multiply to 5, but my inner and my outer product is going to give me a -1. Now, immediately once I see here is if I multiply a 4x times a 5, if I multiply this by -5, that's a -5x, and this by 1, that'd give me the inner -5x plus 4x gives me a -x, and -5 times 1 gives me -5. So we're good to go. Now again, that's equal to 0. So now I can apply my zero product property. So I set each product equal to 0. And now I can go and solve, add 5 divided by 4, x equals a 5/4. And over here, x is equal to a -1. Now, one thing I didn't do in this first example, but we need to make sure we're doing, especially when we have multiple x's, and it's always just best practice for solving any type of equation, is to verify your solution. Because there's something that's important that happens, especially when we create a quadratic in this example, that creates two solutions. And we have to make sure we're not including an extraneous solution. An extraneous solution would be a solution that is true for this quadratic, but it's not true for our original equation. So what would be an example of an extraneous solution? Well, if we take this solution here, x equals 5/4, we plug it into x into our original equation. What we can see here is we can evaluate that. It's going to be for some value. And here we can plug that in. That's going to be work out as well. But when we take x equals -1, which again was a solution to this quadratic equation, which came from this simplified process, when we plug that back into the original equation with the logarithm, we have x equals -1. We have -1 in the argument of the logarithm, and we cannot evaluate logarithms for a negative argument. So therefore, this would be your example of an extraneous solution, okay? And when you can just write it down there, this would be your only solution. All right, let's go and take a look at the last example. This would be the hard one. Once your teacher is kind of like taught through all the lessons, you maybe had like a quiz or some homework, and then what do you know? You get a problem like this. And maybe you've seen a problem like this before in class. Maybe you have not. But let's go and apply everything that we know with solving logarithmic equations to be able to approach this, if it would be something on your test or not. Because yeah, it's a little bit more advanced than the other problems, but it's definitely something that we can tackle. So recognize here I have the natural logarithm. Sometimes that confuses students. But again, a natural logarithm is just like any other logarithm. It has a base e, which is implied instead of a base 10 or a base 5, which we already went through. The next thing is I notice I have the difference of two different logarithms. So again, that reminds me I can use the quotient property of logarithms. So I'm going to work from left to right. Okay, that's very important to work from left to right. So this first example here, whenever you are subtracting two different logarithms, as long as they have the same base, you can rewrite that as a quotient of your arguments. So therefore, I can rewrite this as ln of 3 divided by an x plus 5. And then still, I need to subtract that from ln of x. Now again, we can do this again, right? We have the difference of two different logarithms. So again, I can use the quotient. So now I'm going to have ln of 3 over an x plus 5 divided by an x is equal to 0. Now, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we could go ahead and simplify that, but I'm going to do that at the end once it's outside of the logarithm. You could do it inside. It's perfectly fine. But I think just for explanation's sake, I'm going to leave it on the outside. I want to see, well, how do we get rid of this x's, right? In the previous examples, we always did exponentiating based on the base of what the logarithm was. And again, it's very important to remember the natural logarithm has a base e. So what we're going to want to do in this case is exponentiate both sides with base e. Now this is very helpful because e raised to the 0 power is going to be a 1. Over here, that's just going to eliminate that. So therefore, we're just going to left with the argument, which is 3 all over a x plus 5 divided by an x. And that's going to equal to 1, right? E to the 0 is equal to 1. Now let's go ahead and simplify this. Now, technically I have a fraction divided by this variable, okay? So there's a couple different ways we can look at this. The one way I'm going to approach this is say, well, I can rewrite x as x over 1. Then if I want to get rid of this in my denominator, or with dividing by x is really the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, right? So 1 over x times x is just going to give me 1. And then over here, I just multiply 1 over x times 3 over x plus 5. Again, remember when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply straight across. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So now what I'm going to have is going to be a 3 times a x squared plus a 5x. And again, that is now going to equal to a 1. So now to go ahead and solve this, unfortunately, I got rid of the x out of the argument of the logarithm, but now the x is caught in the denominator. So I got to get it off the denominator. And just like how I got this off the denominator by multiplying by its reciprocal, that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm not going to reciprocate the 3. I just want to get the x's off the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by a 5x or x squared plus 5x over 1. Again, my whole goal here is just to get this off that denominator. Now again, these are actually just going to divide out. But whatever you do on one side, right, remember, you have to do on the other side. So I'm going to multiply this by an x squared plus a 5x. Since it's all just multiply by 1, doesn't really matter. It's just going to be an x squared plus 5x. So therefore, I'm left with a 3 equals an x squared plus a 5x. Now I recognize this is a quadratic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we're solving quadratics by factoring, quadratic formula, completing the square, we need to set it equal to 0. So this example, unless you're doing complete, I guess you could get away with it, but factoring and quadratic formula, you're going to want to make sure you set it equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract a 3 on both sides, and I get 0 is equal to an x squared plus 5x minus 3. Now I want to check quickly in my head, is it factorable? And unfortunately, it is not. So guys, you can see this is a hard example, not because it's really like that crazy difficult, but there's a lot of steps. And when there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of opportunities for you to make mistakes. So just make sure you're taking some time when you're working through problems like this to slow down, double check to make sure you did the correct step, and then work through it. But we can definitely do the quadratic formula. It should be something that you have memorized in this case, or at least I would expect my students to know, but I might also write it on the board to help them out. So x equals the opposite of b, so it's going to be negative 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is your 5 squared, minus a 4 times a times c, which is negative 3, all divided by 2 times a. Now, even though I'm plugging in 1, you're like, why are you writing in the 1? I like to do that for accounting purposes. Remember, I just talked about making mistakes? By writing everything in there, this is just a way for me that helps me be able to double check my work to make sure I didn't like miss something or forget something. All right, let's go and see what we get here. So 5 squared is a 25. Negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. 25 plus 12 is going to be a 37. Square root of 37 divided by 2. And then wait, ladies and gentlemen, we need to make sure we can check for extraneous solutions. Now I might say, Mr. McLogan, I don't even know what this decimal equivalent is. Well, yeah, if you have a calculator, go ahead and find the decimal equivalent, right? But if you don't have a calculator, let's just go and do some understanding of what makes values extraneous for logarithms. We can't make them the argument to be 0, and we can't make the argument to be negative, right? It has to be less than or equal to, or less than, or sorry, has to be greater than 0 to make the argument equal to 0. So 3, we're good here. But we see here, anything that's going to be an x or that's equal to a negative 5 here, or less than negative 5, or sorry, yeah, less than a negative 5 here is not going to work. Well, if I look at this, square root of 35 or square root of 36, guys, is roughly going to be like 6, right? 6 point something. If I take a negative 5 and I subtract that from another 6, that's like a negative 11.2 or something, and then divide by 2, it's, let's say, 11 or 5 point something. Well, anyways, it's going to be a negative number, right? So therefore, that's going to be an extraneous. You cannot plug in a negative number in for this x, okay? Now, the other one is going to be a positive, right? Because if I have negative 5 plus, it's a 6, right? If this is 6 point something, that's going to turn that into a positive, divide by 2. It's still going to be a positive number, and then we're adding 5. So the positive version of this, so x equals a negative 5 plus square root of 37 divided by 2, that is going to be our solution. Whereas x equals a negative 5 minus a square root of 37 divided by 2, that is going to be our extraneous solution. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are 3 examples that you can work on for solving logarithmic equations. If you want to see more examples of me solving logarithms or exponential equations, or even just some practice work, then check out the description I have for you in this video or the next video I have for you here. Cheers.